If you live someplace warm, you're probably not as familiar with the creeping dread the rest of us car enthusiasts feel when fall ends and winter begins, because that means you're going to have to put your fun car into hibernation, and you're going to be stuck driving boring, nameless, faceless SUVs just like this one for the cold, snowy winter months.
If you get any kind of weather wherever you live, you've probably gotten the message that all-wheel drive is a necessity.
So, we have brought the 2020 Nissan Rogue all-wheel drive on the boringly efficient Bridgestone Ecopia all-season tires. We also have the 2019 Mazda MX5 RF. That is the retractable fastback on Bridgestone Blizzak winter tires.
Let's put these together and actually have a conversation about how much do tires matter, and more importantly, should you and can you drive a really good sports car in the winter?
You're watching Everyday Driver. We make a TV show, podcast,
and YouTube channels dedicated to great cars, driving adventures, and helping you find a car you'll love.
subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a thing.
When you're driving the Rogue, you're going to feel discontent gnawing at you. This is the automotive equivalent of eloping with Mr. or Mrs. right now. But it's perfect. It's the perfect representation for this, because this is what you're supposed to drive. It's all-wheel drive. It's an SUV. It's well-priced. It's really well-suited for anywhere you want to go. The car that transports you to the ski slope, you get groceries, you just plod around in winter in one of these things.
This is far and away the most successful car in Nissan's lineup. And here it is in all-wheel drive with the CVT. This is the kind of car we're all told we're supposed to have if we have families, but especially if we get weather. This is also one of the top 5 or 6 best-selling cars in the US right now.
There are some interesting things about it, and the styling is actually pretty good.
This at least tries to look rugged. Ultimately, though, what is it? It is a very straightforward 5-seat family CUV.
You've got to be able to get in a car like this and just know what it does. There's no surprise of how a button works or, oh, this does something different. Nope, it just works. But I think that's where this shines, as a matter of fact.
A lot of the materials in here are very hard plastic, which means it's trying to be family friendly, which is a code word for going to get spilled on. Good amount of space, nice rear leg room. It's got a good sized hatch, even with the seat up. Our focus here at Everyday Driver is to help you find a car you genuinely love. And often we're going to recommend a small, lightweight, involving sports car, and the Miata or the MX5 is pretty much the poster child for that. But the problem comes in that it's not usable all the time, or at least that's what we're told. That's what we've been led to believe. You need to have some sort of sports utility vehicle, all-wheel drive, to be able to handle, well, snow. This MX5 RF is the updated version. They have just taken this ND, that's the 4th generation of the Mazda Miata, and added some new goodies.
Everything about the engine has been paid attention to. Intake and exhaust ports have been improved. It's got a stiffer crank. They've loved on the engine and produced 26 more horsepower than the prior RF that we drove. And it makes this car how it should have been from the beginning.
It's $35,000 and it's just head turning. It should come in better colors. This putty or gloss primer is not a good enough color on this car. This should be available in every Skittle color of the rainbow. The interior packs all of the modern amenities into a tiny little space. Unfortunately, there's a terrible transmission hump on the passenger side that really restricts passenger legroom. And if you're a tall guy like me, I'm 6'3", I can barely fit in this car. If I sit up straight, my head is touching all the time.
I don't fit. And if I don't fit, that means Todd really doesn't fit. Otherwise, it puts you very much involved with the weight and balance of the car. That's what the seating position feels like.
This is one of the rare sports cars that doesn't feel like they scrimped on the interior. The interior feels absolutely up to everything you would compete with at this price point, but then it has all of the good sports car running gear underneath as well. Plenty of easy-to-use controls on the steering wheel. You have full Apple CarPlay. Anything you would find on a nice sedan of about $35,000 is packed into this space. This 6-speed is also one of the best on the market right now. It's just dead simple to use. You could teach somebody that's never driven manual to drive this car in 5 minutes, or if you're a person that loves a manual transmission, you're going to thoroughly enjoy shifting this yourself.
So we've brought two cars that are completely opposite to each other. Will the lightweight rear-wheel drive sports car on winter tires be equal to or better than a heavier all-wheel drive SUV that you're supposed to drive in winter on all seasons?
Our preference is to have a good summer performance tire for the summer months and then put a full winter tire on when it snows. Can we quantify that? Is there a way to show that actually having a sports car in the winter can be awesome?
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Griot's Garage. Use the code EVERYDAY for 10% off your order.
Ooh, feel that power. Not really. This is just 170 horsepower, 175 pound-feet of torque. It's got a CVT that makes me want to carve my eyeballs out with a spoon, but, you know, CVTs, they're great.
Nissan's all-wheel drive system typically starts you in 50-50 front-rear until you get going, and then it goes to become an all front-wheel drive car. Now, it can throw power back rearward up to that 50% again. You also have an all-wheel drive lock button down here that actually tells it that you're serious. That only does it in low speeds, though. It will not stay in that all-wheel drive lock system up to freeway speeds. While this can definitely struggle for grip in some takeoff situations, it never does anything that feels unexpected. That makes it very predictable and safe.
Caution, unpaved road.
Unpaved road, I know. Thank you, Nissan. This road that we're on has ominous signs at the base saying, not only is 4x4 required, you should have chains. This car has neither. And there's cars that are parked at the base for the entire year. I do not have it in the all-wheel drive lock over here. That's not on. I'm sort of saving that for emergencies right now, but for the moment, she's doing okay.
The interesting thing about all-wheel drive, if you don't have winter tires, is the fact that all four wheels scrabbling for grip is helpful. It does create a scenario where you can kind of try to muddle through better than you could if you only had front or rear working for you. I've often thought that the climbing part is not where the all-seasons are going to let you down on an all-wheel drive car. It's going to be the stopping and turning, which, of course, when you drive never happens, right?
The car wants to go. Good. All-wheel drive is working. I like this. So far, no problems. Can I do it? Can I do it? Traction control off. There we go. There we go. That's better. That is the secret for snow, because as soon as it feels wheels slip, you needed power right then. And you're expecting power. The traction control kicks in and breaks the wheels, which is exactly what you don't need in that situation.
This update to the ND, the 4th generation, is quite interesting because the main thing they changed is the engine. It's still a 2-liter 4-cylinder, but power has gone up significantly. It's got 181 horsepower now, 151 pound-feet of torque. Now, that is an increase of about 25 horsepower and only about 5 torque. But the big difference is it now revs to 7,500 RPM, and the whole way through the rev band, it feels more powerful.
It moves, it snaps, it's great. I love this car. I love it. I've never really loved it before, and I love it. I'm going way too fast on a road in the winter.
Now it has actual passing power. You get into that drag race for the on-ramp, you will now beat the minivan. Starting off on a nasty winter road in the MX5. Hey, a little bit of slide. There we go. Easy, easy. This is the thing that we're discovering with these winter tires on a rear-wheel drive car. Once you kind of modulate your throttle here and you get this thing started, then you are surprisingly solid, actually, because your grip for turning and stopping is phenomenal. Now that I'm rolling and have momentum, I've been able to do gear changes. I can stay in the sweet spot of movement. I'm not having any problem with slide unless I want to. And then it's just fun to counter.
Even though there's scary signs down at the base of this road saying 4x4 and chains are required, you can have your sports car, you can have it on winter tires. They are grippier in this uphill than you would have thought.
The limited slip differential is key here, though. You want to have that ability to spin tires and get grip wherever you've got it. You've got to drive your sports cars in the winter. You have to. You're not necessarily going to be in conditions like this, but even if you are, my guess is if it's been plowed at all, you're going to make it there. You're going to have more fun, too.
It's not perfect. You're not going to be able to go everywhere. And people are going to look at this little Miata and think, what are you doing bringing this up this road? But to get farther than you thought, to have the pleasure of driving a sports car all winter long, and mostly the pleasure of doing something that everybody else says you can't.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Haggerty Drive Share, connecting people to cars they actually want to drive.
At this point, all-season tires have come a long way. These aren't the tires from the 80s that were all-season tires, which meant they were bad at everything. These really are pretty good in most conditions. The place where they fall down, though, is actual snow on the road. In fact, one of the biggest issues you're going to have in winter driving isn't the getting going, it's getting stopped. And at that point, all-wheel drive doesn't matter at all. It's just about grip and braking. Here is the plan. 25 miles an hour and an emergency stop.
The all-wheel drive is not locked, and up to 25 miles an hour, and then nail the brakes. Here we go. She's doing just fine. Just stay in the tracks. And here's my braking point.
Come on, come on. Oh my gosh. Pedal to the floor. Oh. I'm stopped. It just took a while. That was only 25 miles an hour. Imagine if that was 70.
The car stopped in a straight line perfectly, and ABS kicked in and did its thing. All right, this is our cone of stoppage. That sets our benchmark.
Can the crazy-haired one back this up in line properly and get this done?
Coming to you with winter tires up to 25 miles an hour, cruising along. It's getting slicker out.
25. Emergency stop.
25 before I nail it. Yep, knew it. I knew it.
What's that? Half? Half as far? Yeah, I'm liking that.
That just proves flat out, without a doubt, winter tires are better. If you stop sooner, it doesn't matter the length, the distance, it doesn't matter. If you get it done sooner, that's all you need.
The absolute best thing about a rear-wheel drive car in the snow with winter tires is you can be playful. You can get the back out for fun when you want, or you can tidy it up.
I am reminded of my high school days on snow days when we just got in our cars and went to an empty parking lot like this and just tried to screw around.
Adding to the unscientific nature of this, we have this test, which we are calling the moose test.
I'm not sure why they call it the moose test. It should be the deer test. It's not the moose that are suicidal, it's the deer.
Suddenly somebody stops in front of you, or there's a moose or whatever, 20 miles an hour. Can I avoid things? We'll give it a shot. Whew. I'd say that worked. Just a lift, and cranked the wheel and was able to make it happen.
It's the thing in front of you test. 20 miles an hour and really very little slide. It's very controllable.
Now, I'm going to attempt to do this in the Rogue. I'm gonna get going easier. All right, there's 20. Whoa, okay. I made it. That was super scary though. Let's do it again.
20 miles an hour, just cruising in. Whoop, something's there. And yeah, she's pushing.
In both cases, we made it. We just got past the bumper or the moose or whatever you want to call it. The difference is that in the MX5, it felt like I was in control. In the Rogue, it felt like I was hoping for the best. I turn the wheels and I can just tell that they're not gripping, that the car is kind of going that direction, but I'm just hoping that it slides enough left.
We have to find the limits. Come on, 30, 30, 30. That's 25. I clipped one cone.
The Rogue couldn't do it at 25. Can I do it at 30? Let's see. 25, almost 30. Yep, that's good. Yes, it slides some, but comparatively, it does what I ask it to. There's a little bit of slide, let me know, hey, it's slick underfoot, but overall, it's just doing what I ask.
Okay, there's 30. That is still maneuverable. That is amazing. We've been chucking it in at 30 miles an hour. That was genuinely 30 right there. I'm shocked at how much control there actually is. That is brilliant. Just don't hit the camera. That was it. Finally broke it free at just above 30 miles an hour. That was it.
None of us want to slide when we aren't expecting it. None of us want to have a bad traction issue. The bigger your car gets, the worse that becomes.
Everyday Driver is brought to you by Covercraft. Use the code EVERYDAY for 10% off your order.
One of the coolest things, one of my favorite things about doing this show is when you and I just try stuff and learn things.
Yeah, totally. Look, the whole point of this exercise was not to come in and sandbag you and say, SUVs are not that great in the winter and sports cars for the win on winter tires only. But I was surprised coming away from this, having the SUV do better than I thought it was going to do, and the sports car, the Miata, do a little bit better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah.
On the hill climb yesterday, when we were shooting, the car, the Miata, did really well. I was surprised. Once you had momentum, I was so surprised. But then on the other hand, the all-wheel drive just takes over. But there is still the discussion of all-wheel drive without winter tires in the mix. You can't just only rely on all-wheel drive.
This is true. I mean, we've talked about this before, and I was genuinely surprised with both of these cars. I mean, the Miata itself is just fun, and what it does prove is put really good winter tires on it, drive it year-round. I love the fact that we can take sports cars, we can drive them year-round. That is the best thing ever. But the thing about it is this all-wheel drive with all seasons, I was a little educated. I was kind of like, okay, I was a little bit wrong because those all seasons did better with all-wheel drive than I thought they'd do. The Rogue just started climbing. The problem was the stopping and the turning.
Yes, modern tires do far better than you think they can. They turn cars into cornering machines.
Yeah.
But there is still physics involved, of course. I came away, pointing the finger at myself, thinking, all right, I could put winter tires on the Cayman, drive it year round. It comes down to money, honestly. You can get a second set of wheels and tires, which we recommend because it makes the swap out easier.
Yeah.
But you can just do the NASCAR swap. You just put the tires on the Miata, just like we did. I was surprised. And so I'm pointing the finger at me thinking, yeah, it really is possible. You can. It's not perfect in all situations. But without numbers, we're both surprised that you can actually do this.
Absolutely. I mean, there are strengths and weaknesses with either platform. What I really hope that you take away from this, what we want you to do is find a car you love, drive it year-round. Don't think, oh, I get weather, I've got to have all-wheel drive. Get a great car, get good tires, be thrilled.
We're here to unplug you from the Matrix. Do not think for a second that you need to be relegated to some boring thing and march through winter and you're just longing for your fun car. We dare you. Can you imagine a ski rack on this or a bike rack on this? You're bombing around in winter. You're just this little thing, just singing past everybody.
I understand that dynamics don't matter when you're hauling the family and the fishing gear and all of the extra stuff for camping. I get that. I understand that we would like to have high ride height and all-wheel drive. As a culture, as a people, we've now decided that's what we want. I'm not saying don't get that, but I am saying be careful about that all-wheel drive, all-season combination and understand that you're limited not to get going, but to change direction or to get stopped. And if you've ever second-guessed yourself on, I really shouldn't drive a sports car in the winter, no, please do. Get yourself some good winter tires and just take your sports car and enjoy. No matter what your drive wheels are, I highly advise you get seat heaters. That's my public service announcement. Forget tires, seat heaters. Because even if you get stuck, your butt is warm.